Okay, welcome everybody to our evening session of the Boost Camp. It's my pleasure to have Inga Wiele here with us. Inga Wiele is the founder of Gezeitenraum, a design thinking agency. And we were colleagues actually in the same team like
5 years before.
5 years ago, 7 years almost, when we started to work together. And Inga, by that time, joined our team and got infected by the design thinking virus.
Wer ist Hans Werner?
Hans Werner, our manager, and by that time also our manager. And we were doing great things, great projects together as part of the first global scaling initiative of design thinking. And having said that, I really welcome you, and Inga will talk about how to move from methods to mindset, and also tell us the story what actually the design thinking spirit and mindset, how that changed her life professionally but also in private. Okay, so Inga, happy to have you here, and it's your stage.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi. It's incredible to be here again. I've actually not been here for the last 5 years, and when I came here, it was like no day has passed. It's really, I was sitting there. I mean, it was new sofas, but yeah, you probably don't even notice anymore. But it's the only thing I noticed as new sofas, and the rest was kind of like the same feeling. And when I was preparing the talk, I was like, I hope when I talk about how I work today, that doesn't sound like SAP. I didn't like SAP because I mean, I do a lot of great things, but actually, if I would ever have to join a company again, it would be SAP. So in the 5 years that I've left SAP, I have seen no better company except my own. Okay, so that said, I hope that kind of gives you a frame of what I'm talking about. Yeah, so maybe it's just a few words about the name of our company, which is a German name. It's Gezeitenraum, which translates to room of the tides. So the where the tides come and go. So with the waves coming, going, destroying things, and bringing fertile new grounds. So it's an analogy to what we see in innovation. And actually, where we live, this is actually the area where we live. So we live at the west coast of Germany, at the North Sea, and that's where we moved 5 years ago. Yeah, so that's me. Does it look like me? Okay, because sometimes I have my doubts. Yeah, I'm actually a bachelor of business administration. I studied about 30 years ago in Stuttgart at the the Duale Hochschule. And back then, I studied this because my father said, you should study something which gives you money, and so I started working there. And they always told us about professionalism, so how professional companies work, and that's kind of story that leads through my journey. So 5 years ago, maybe just some words where I'm standing now. 5 years ago, I moved to northern Germany, and my husband and I decided to found our own company. And yeah, we're now living in St. Peter-Ording, which is one of the most famous lifestyle villages in Germany at the moment. So we have a lot of kite surfers there and so on. And we always wanted to live there, but we never knew how to make a living there. And so when we started with design thinking, that was kind of like the move there. So since 5 years, we now have customers all over Germany, all different branches. I'll talk a bit about that later. We also got an award. So Brand 1, the German magazine, awarded us one of the best consultancies in Germany, which kind of surprised us. More about that later. Yeah, and so that's kind of where we stand at. So that's Christian, my husband. He's a theoretical physicist, and I'm a business administration person. So that's our background. Yeah, when we got this award, we were actually in a shopping center in Kiel, and I got a WhatsApp message telling us, congratulations for the award. And I'm like, I showed it to my husband. I said, do you know anything about an award? And he said, no. And I texted the person back and I said, which award? And he said, don't you know? Brand 1 just awarded you one of the best consultancies in Germany. So we were in this shopping center. We went to the magazine store and checked this magazine and actually found our name there. The next step was, we Googled whether there's another company named the same. Because that's kind of like, it was like a year after we founded and we had just started. And yeah, we had customers, but we were really surprised that we got noticed so fast. And since then, we thought, well, maybe it was just this year because it's a new award. It was the first time that they did it. And so we thought in 2015, we will not win it again. We got it again in 2015, but not in 2016. Something went wrong there. And then again 2017 and 18. So curious whether we get it next year again. But that's just a bit of background. So this was actually my life in 2011. So kind of like, I was 41 years old. This is actually, this is our family photo albums that my husband creates every year. And the yellow one is 2011. So they started 2009 and now we're up to 2017. I like to go skiing. We had a nice house. We were happy. And I actually I analyzed my life a bit. So I created an Inga persona in 2011. So I was 41 years old. This is actually my hair color back then. I guess most of you still know me with that hair color. I was a product manager at SAP, and back then I think I worked for like 4 weeks for Hans Werner. And I'm married, I have 3 sons. What else did I write there? I like reading, socializing. I'm a very, very friendly, open-minded person. What's always in my fridge? Milk, yogurt, German sausage, just like your normal German. And my next big life event was retirement. That's what I thought. I thought my life's over. It kind of everything happened that needs to happen in a life. So I built a house, I had children. There was no time for a career anymore. And I felt like this is it. 15 more years to go, or maybe 20, and then I'll be retired. I like to read Spiegel Online, romantic books. I would say my strengths and weaknesses were communication. All of those who know me know that communication is also my weakness because I talk too much. I think I was really easy to aggravate. So I was always like, if something would go against me, I would be really, really mad. Okay, so what did I say back then? I'm doing well, life is good. I have a wonderful family, an interesting job, and a beautiful house. I was still searching for interesting positions at SAP, maybe then not anymore, Hans Werner, because I found your team. And I drove the kids back to school and back. What I thought was my job is great, but it doesn't really offer a career step. I felt kind of stuck. So when the children leave the house, I will be old. And I kind of thought, where did my dreams go? Do you know that Talking Heads song, Once in a Lifetime? And now I sit here in this beautiful house with my beautiful life, and I ask myself, how did I get here? Life kind of happens. And I had the feeling I have a good life, but at the same time I wasn't sure whether this was really where I was headed to. but also I was insecure. I didn't know, do I have potential for more or not? Yeah, whatever that means. I was thinking I'm not living up to my full potential. And I was still in search of professionalism, actually. Remember, when I was studying, they told us about professionalism and how companies were supposed to work. And every company that I had worked for, I felt is not acting professional. I worked for a small retailer, and my first job, they were not professional, but I thought that's because they're a small retailer. Then I worked for Daimler-Benz and started working there, and I still didn't find professionalism. I worked as an SAP consultant, did not find professionalism in a way that I felt things are going smoothly in between how people work together. And then I was talking to Heinz Werner, and I still remember this talk, and he said, you are part of a team that goes to the School of Design Thinking in Potsdam. And I thought, what the fuck? Didn't say it, I was thinking that, I think. Maybe I said it to my husband. You know, there's this German saying, they drive another pig through the streets. And I was thinking, this is just another pig that they drive through the street. So what design thinking, the next whatever. Yeah, actually I painted this morning in the train. Because I didn't like the pictures I had in there. So I went there. So what happened there? It was actually in, October 2011. We went to DCamp, and we got this little booklet. I actually wanted to hand it out to you, but it's in my package, so I show it to you later. But I took pictures of that. So we went there. This was actually the people who went there. There was Thorsten Stube, Martina Schuh, Dirk Kempf. You probably know some of them. Markus Behrens. Who else could you know? Anja Fehlau, Jochen Gürtler. So that was the group who went there. So I think we were about 40, 60 people who went there. It was a big group. And I wrote here in my book, das Staunen ist der Anfang der Erkenntnis. So awe is the beginning of understanding. And that's that describes what I was seeing there. All of a sudden, I had the feeling there is a way to work professional together in a completely unconventional way. Because nobody would think that those wild post-its on the wall are professional, and a lot of people experience that in this way. When they see it for the first time, they think, why would this be professional? But for me, it was the first time that I felt this is how I want to work. Then the other things were, we went to Beta House. Beta House is a co-working space. Nowadays, co-working is normal. In 2011, nobody talked about co-working, except in Berlin. And I was like, oh, that's incredible. And I actually, back then, I saw Brand 1 for the first time in Beta House. That's where I wrote down. I was like, these books, it was like, oh my God, what type of books are here? Yeah, I was reading romantic novels up to that point. And now that was kind of a new chapter, a new perspective that I got. So I went home, actually. So that's me. That's my husband. This is actually, it's Penny and Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. And my husband's a theoretical physicist, as I told you, and there are actually some traits that he shares with Sheldon. I said, I'm not Amy. So I'm more Penny than Amy. So I got home, I said, awesome, great, I finally found what I was searching for. And my husband said, did they wash your brain in Berlin? And I said, no, you can't explain it, you have to experience it. Isn't this kind of what we're all saying when they ask us about design thinking? What is it really? You can't explain it, you have to experience it. So actually he went to the next trainings that back then were then here in Walldorf in these rooms. So that was back home. And then actually there was a downside again. Everything that I experienced there was harder than I expected. When you do it on your own, when there is no coach beside you who helps you doing things, you notice this is really hard. It looked so easy when they did it with us in Berlin, or you probably experienced that here, and then all of a sudden you're alone, you get in difficult situations. And also, if you just don't do it once for a workshop, but over the course of a project, and the failure really happens, the iteration is really necessary. That feels much different than just saying, yeah, failure, and so on. So the reality can really take you down. And in this situation, I have to this is in the wrong sequence. I have to go one forwards. In this situation, my angel came. And my angel said, you have to learn to deal with ambiguity. Now, it's not a coincidence that her name starts with the same letter as angel. It's actually Anja. So Anja was my design thinking angel, and she said, I take you by the hand because design thinking is about creative confidence. It's about the ability to deal with ambiguity. And so now I'll go back. So she said, Inga, get started over and over again. Learn from experiments. So everything that's on your wall, actually, on here, is that's what she told me. She really explained to me the meaning of creative confidence, of the ability to strongly believe that you can live your dreams and that you can change the world. She told me a lot about empathy, about embracing ambiguity, optimism, and iterate, iterate, iterate. And that's the only way.
You as well.
Yeah, but it looks always so nice and colorful and everything. The reality is really, I heard that Steve Jobs used to call this the groan zone. And the groan zone is a big part of design thinking. And only if you really trust the process, you can actually get out of the groan zone and have big successes. So now, the angel. Yeah, so in the by doing all this that Anja told me, I had a lot of aha events, and I learned a lot. And I really just stuck to the process. I did a lot of the things just because I was told, do it the way you were told to. And once you do it over and over again, and you get into a routine, you discover why you actually do it. And that's what's always fascinating me. Those methods that are in the beginning so rigid with the time and everything. I heard you talking about how tough the clock is with the 4 beeps and so on, and also struggling, having not enough time. After a while, you recognize why it's so important and how it really helps you. And you actually develop this creative confidence. Now, in our case, there was, okay, so what if? So Sheldon, also known as Christian, said, why don't we found our own company? And now I'm the one who says, are you crazy? And he said, yeah, we could move to the coast. And that's how it got interesting for me. Because this is actually, let's build our own business. So we kind of shared this dream, and we founded Gezeitenraum, and this is actually where we live today. To be honest, our house is like 5 kilometers from there. So it's not right in front of our door, and actually there is a dike in front of the sea. So in order to get to this beach, you need to go over the dike. You don't just see it. But this beach is about 1.5 kilometers broad and 12 kilometers long. So it's really one of the most beautiful beaches in Germany. But it's cold there. Not this year, but a lot of times it's cold there. Yeah, and I want to give you some more impressions about what this video that I'm going to show you a video now. That's what we created 2013, so it's almost 5 years ago, and we were pretty naive back then. So let's see whether this starts. Do we have a tone?
It will be in English or in German?
It's in German, unfortunately. I'll tell you a bit on the side because it's more or less just keywords that come up here. So let's try it again.
The tone is here, but
No tone. Okay, so maybe we don't have tone. But it's a bummer if we don't have tone. We should have tested the tone. don't worry about it.
Also connected.
We have it without tone. Yeah, that's all right. Ah, now it works. Understand more. It's all like more, move more, discover more. Grow more. Have more imprints or insights. More changes of perspective. See more details. And more overview. More team. More insight or more dynamic. More change. Reach more. More innovation. Exciting mode. A place for innovation. Yeah. And then the journey began. And on the left side, this is what we thought the journey would be. Well, we were pretty sure it wouldn't go totally smooth, but we expected some waves because we knew where we wanted to go to. And then what happened was nothing. My husband was still working at SAP part-time in the home office back then, and because he was in an international team, so that wasn't a problem. And I was all on my own building this company. I mean, he helped me, but at the same time, he was still working for SAP. I was doing this, and I was actually the one who was supposed to get orders and projects and so. And in the beginning, nothing happened. And so we actually had more the path on the right side. So we went to places and we discovered it's not working. Next path, not working. Next path, not working. Which is pretty bad if you have 3 children and build a new house and only half a salary anymore. So it's kind of frightening. And this is today. So somewhere in between it started. And actually it started when we recognized who our customers were, that there is a pattern. We discovered that the people who came to see us kind of said the same things. They were kind of the same characters, kind of the same life stage. It's kind of the same persona. So the breakthrough was when we understood who our customers were, what our niche is. So our niche is, look at them, they're actually all over 40, 45 to 55. They usually, they own small companies. Small means between 50 and 250 employees. And they all are successful. So, but they're all in the second wave. I always call them in the second life cycle. The interesting thing is that the guy who shouts there, he actually manages bands who are in the second life cycle. He actually managed Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead. So, and the one who is laughing on top, that was actually our first really big customer. Besides, we also had Daimler as a customer pretty early. So that was one of our first customers where we went for a couple of times. Or over the course of a year, we were probably 20 or 30 times there. So that was our first big customer. But they're all in the area also where we live. And so the guy on top said, he has an IT company with 250 employees. I want more Berlin in my company. I don't care how you call this method. I saw you and your husband, and I want my employees be a bit like you. So if what you're doing is called design thinking, do it. Don't talk about creativity, because that scares my employees. IT developers do not think they're creative. That's what he said me. And so they look for inspiration in unusual places, actually. It's a type of person who says, I was successful in the past. I have a nice, good, well-doing company now, but what about the next 15 years? Everything changes at the moment. Everything that used to work is not working anymore. The other thing is, the some things are really already cool. They're not students anymore. I'm 55 now, so they become dangerous. And I want to prove that I can still compete with them. That's something that I feel they kind of have in the back of their minds. I'm responsible for the second big wave of my company. And actually, they all have this motto, which is from him. If you just do it for the money, it can be successful, but it will never be great. And that's what we're seeing with a lot of our customers. And so they're all saying, how can I teach my staff to think a bit more like me, meaning them as leaders of their companies, because they're entrepreneurs. And that's what they're seeing. They want their employees work more like entrepreneurs. And so they want to set them up for this. So now what we tell them is actually, what you need is your employees become more creative, confident. So we now repeat what Anja was saying us. We tell them the prototype is not the result of design thinking. The prototype is what helps you to getting to a prototype helps you to sharpen your senses, to make sure that in the team you work for this on the same topic, to have something that you can have your customer questions about, and then becoming successively better. And the other thing that we tell them is, let your partners shine, meaning if you want your company to shine, let your employees shine. And now what you also have to say is, a lot of design thinking companies, consultancies are at the moment on the market. Imagine in Berlin, every half year, a class of HPI absolvents, or how do you call them, get on the market. They all want to be consultants. So what actually happens at the moment is that a lot of inexperienced people with also not a lot of idea about how companies work and what people in companies experience are on the market now. So it's really, on one hand, it's not easy because they're cheaper than we are. We have to make a living that's that covers the life of a family with 3 kids. And it's comparable to what we had when we were working at SAP. And so at the same time, also the quality that they deliver is not really good at the moment, or it really varies a lot. So design thinking is under pressure because there are people out there that do it cheap, don't really know what they're doing, and people do not know, is this really design thinking or is it not? So now what happens is, why are we still successful? Why do people pay more money for what we do rather than for, let's say, people who just newly do this or don't have that much experience? That's actually because we can explain what we're doing, because we have the aha moments, because we know what professionalism is. So we really understand what they're searching for, because everybody we talk to is looking for a standard, a good standard of working together. And that was one of my Erlebnisse, experiences when I think it was in 2012 we went to Decon Festival. I'm not sure whether one of you was at Decon Festival in Berlin at the HPI. It's a design thinking conference. And what struck me there was they had a lot of those slots. Actually, Tatjana also had one. They were all 1 hour, and within 1 hour we went from challenge to prototype. And it was people who saw each other for the first time. And what struck me is it always worked. I mean, it was a prototype in the sense of it's not the result, but it was a beginning. And it was incredible for me to see when people know what the steps are, when they agree on how to get to a result, how good they can work together and how smooth this goes. And this is what we can explain to our customers. And I've actually worked with customers who said, I've done design thinking before and I thought I never want to do this again anymore. Because the people that they work with did not understand it. And I think that's awesome when you're at SAP, because you have the chance to really see the whole cycle. You have the chance to talk to people who went through this, who really can tell you, Inga, you have to learn to deal with ambiguity. People like Anja, my angel, or people like Tatjana, or Martina, where's she? And so really appreciate that, and you will get there. Because you know both sides. You know the business side and the needs of the business side, and you know this technique or this method in the beginning. And you will acquire that mindset. And that will just give you so much more possibilities. So the other thing that we do now is we start a lot of networking. So what our goal is, we want to connect all the design thinkers in the area where we live. Or we want to connect all the people who want to do new things. So we started a network which meets each other once a year. It's called the Beach Camp. It's a bar camp. Do you know bar camps? Have you heard about that?
Yes.
So for those who have not heard about it, it's conferences without agenda, like a huge open space. So the people who go there don't get a program in advance. Everybody brings their own topic. In the morning, you pitch if you want to do a talk or a workshop or a discussion round. And the people who are at the conference actually put together the program themselves. And you meet incredibly interesting people there. And so we founded this bar camp in where we live in St. Peter-Ording. It's called the Beach Camp. And I just want to give you an impression, because we think if we cooperate more, we can do so much great things. If we join those forces that we have, all the people that are willing to change things. So let's see. Actually, Sabrina Steinmetz hält das.
Gut organisiertes Barcamp, es sind freundliche Leute da, es macht Spaß, es waren viele vom alten Jahr da und ich freue mich einfach irgendwie über die Gesellschaft hier.
Gestern Abend anzukommen und mich auf den Deich zu setzen und so die Ruhe und den Abstand zu haben von dem tosenden Alltag, der zu Hause auf einen wartet, und dann den Kopf auch wirklich frei zu haben für das, was heute kommt. Das war echt gestern schon der perfekte Einstieg.
Auffrischen der Kontakte, die man da geknüpft und über die Zeit digital online gepflegt hat.
Das Essen ist super hier, das müssen andere Barcamps nochmal toppen. Letztes Jahr war es mein erstes Barcamp, habe seitdem ein paar andere besucht und fand, dass dieses Barcamp was Besonderes hat, weil die Heterogenität der Beiträge ganz anders ist als bei techniklastigen Barcamps.
Sabrina pictures in the background again. This is Sabrina. Yeah, she works at SAP. She secret for an erotic online startup.
Wir brauchen den Rat. Ich muss genauso eine Industriegewerkschaft wie ein Barcamp haben, um unterschiedliche Sichtweisen auf die Veränderungen zu werfen, die kommen werden. Wir wissen das und von daher war es ein guter Impuls heute.
He came for one session that we created especially for him. So he was there for 2 hours. So this is where he got into the discussion. So really networking is kind of like what we believe in, and that's what I would encourage you as well, not only within SAP. There are actually bar camps in this area as well. So if you have the chance to go to a bar camp, try it. It's a bit like the box of chocolate experience that, what's his name, Forrest Gump talks about. You don't really know what you get, but if you like chocolate in general, there will be 1 or 2 that really broaden your view. So I would really encourage you to do that. Also use Twitter, use LinkedIn. Don't just throw out all the SAP marketing stuff. Do really what moves you, show who you are. Because people will contact you, they will want to exchange perspectives with you because they understand what potential people at SAP have. People are incredibly open towards me because I worked at SAP, because they assume that I have a broad view. So you have so much to offer. Offer it to the world. So, whose life is it in 2018? A lot of design thinking, a lot of moderation, a lot of beach. And actually, I wrote a book together with a professor from Biberach and a lecturer from HPI, Lena Meyer, maybe some of you know her, which is currently the highest ranking design thinking book at Amazon. Yeah, it's in the area of IT project management and creativity in IT projects, was today on place 2. Before Dark Horse Digital Innovation Playbook, before Design Thinking Playbook of Leverick. So at the moment we really sell this very well. It's just in German, but we want to have it translated. Next step.
Audiobook because it's like more convenient to.
It's actually it's a workbook. It's a workbook. So you really, it's like, if you want to do synthesis, do 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's kind of weird reading that out loud. It's a bit like, do you know the book Gamestorming? Yep. Which is like a step-by-step guide. And that's what we were feeling. Like when I was doing trainings and Isabel was teaching at the university in Biberach, we felt like there are a lot of good design thinking books out there, but actually none of them really give you a very compact approach where for each step of the process you get one method and not 10. And it's like we gave schedules. So we said, if you do a day of design thinking, that's your schedule. Try to do this. And we felt like there is no hands-on guide on there. It's only 100 pages. But so I'll show it to you later. It's really small, but it's the essential is in it. And I actually like the design thinking playbook a lot. But even then, when you use that, there is such a huge choice. And so we just focus, which is also one thing that we think is the mindset of design thinking. Develop a focus. So, okay, so again, Inga, 48 now. I would say I'm a design thinker. So, I kind of feel like that. I'm still married, have 3 sons. They're now 9, 11, and 13. I was thinking, what is supping? Actually, I'm not skiing anymore because it's too far. That's the only downside. Johannes knows that I love skiing because Johannes and I got to know each other when we were skiing, remember? That was legendary. Don't tell anybody about it. So actually we're doing stand-up paddling now. I still like to socialize, still milk, yogurt, German sausage on there. I wasn't sure about my next big life event, but I really think my dream is to have an innovation center where people from all Germany, all over the world, come to this beautiful beach and use the silence that's available there, the broadness of your view to create new things there. Today I like to read Brand 1 and business books, so no romantic novels anymore. I am still communicative, but I'm much more relaxed.
What is Brand 1?
Brand 1 is a German magazine, which is kind of like the most modern business magazine at the moment, I would say. Is that correct?
Yes. It's like Wired.
Yeah, a bit like Wired.
Economists.
Yeah, it's like the real foresight thinkers read that. Yeah, so I'm still saying I'm doing well, life is good, I have a wonderful family, an interesting job, and a beautiful house. I attend bar camps. I'm not in search for jobs at the moment. Who knows, if the economy goes down, I might look at SAP again. I'm always in search of learning opportunities. I love my life. Having 3 sons is stressful, as you can imagine, but it's rewarding. I'm satisfied, I'm alert, and I'm sometimes frightened. And when I'm frightened, I tell myself, what if everything goes wrong? I still have my bike and can cycle to the beach. That's what I wanted to tell you.